You guys should read it, make sure you're cool with it.
Good evening and welcome to the Financial Planning Committee, Wednesday, March 30th. It's after the hour of 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. First order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from March 16th. I've read them and I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next order of business is the final review and approval of the Financial Planning Committee's recommendation to town meeting this year. Any questions, or John, do you want to say anything?
No, just so working with the chairman, we got your draft report. It's substantively in the same format as you do each year. It's really a record of your votes from your prior meeting. There's some informational verbiage up on the front end, but it should just be summarized and reflecting the projects that you guys took up. So just as a reminder, in addition to the capital planning articles that are on the warrant, that's Articles 11 through 20. You also chose to make a recommendation for 5 Community Preservation Act projects. Those are Articles 23, 28, 29, 30, and 31. So those are included in your report as well.
Any discussion on any of that? Any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about?
Oh,
So, yeah.
looks exactly like what we want.
I'd like some time to digest it and then get comments back.
Yep. So typically, we read it over, we approve it at this meeting with the caveat that any minor changes of that, John and I will work out. If I got any dates wrong or anything, we'll work out. If you see anything glaring, you ought to get back to me sooner rather than later.
In terms of timeline, if the chairman has any final changes to the report, I would want to request those by Monday at the latest, because we are going to be compiling the entire warrant book, which your report is a portion of that, so it gets included in there, as well as gets included in Section 9 of the operating budget, which is the capital improvement plan. So the last appendix to the capital improvement plan is your report on the current fiscal 2023 budget. So if the committee is so inclined, and you were to approve it, subject to or authorizing the chair to make any additional edits or modifications as necessary. Obviously, your votes are a matter of record from your last meeting, so those wouldn't be, but if there's a typo or phrasing or something, a comment that you would like in there, if the chairman can be authorized to add that, that would be fine.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion.
John, are you good with that as outlined?
That's fine, sure.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the report of the Financial Planning Committee as written and permitting the chair to work with the town on any edits.
Do I hear a second?
Second the motion?
Yeah, is there any discussion?
I'll-
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous again.
Excellent. I know this is a little bit later for you guys wrapping up your work, so I appreciate, the condensed meeting schedule. Just going back, normally, if we didn't have all of the COVID and the issues with federal aid and reporting, lose our auditor. We lost our auditor in the middle of the fiscal year too, so we had to go out to bid and get a new auditor in. Took them quite a bit of time to get up to speed. A typical cycle for us, though, is Our auditor usually has us, we're the first community that gets wrapped up. So we close our books, we're ready to close the books, within a month of the fiscal year ending, which is somewhat unusual. The audit actually gets completed and typically is presented to the Board of Selectmen at their November meeting when they set the tax rate for the current fiscal year. So the reason why that schedule is important to us is because we need to close our books because we need to get our free cash certified. In order for you to do your job, you need to know what we have for available resources. All of that stuff was delayed by a couple of months. And so we wound up, I'm just trying to explain how we got to this very condensed schedule this year. But the auditors took longer. They had to get up to speed with the town, get our free cash certified. And so we got going a little bit later than usual. But next year, I hope to be back on, if we can just get past this pandemic and we get back on a normal schedule, because this has really been, it's been a rough ride for the staff. Just really jamming everything up at the end like this. So in any event, the auditor's on board. It's a 3-year contract, assuming, things kind of level out. The only thing that we probably will be discussing, next year in any great detail is going to be the how we use the ARPA funds and whether or not, what amount, if any, is applied towards, capital needs for the town. So.
Very good. Thank you. So that's that. Next item of business is our next meeting date. I see a memorandum here, John.
Yes, so your original schedule did not include another meeting. However, I gave you a copy of a memo dated March 26th that I provided to the Board of Selectmen at their meeting on Monday. As you know, there's been quite a bit of interest and discussion regarding the ARPA funding. As part of the original process, once we knew where we were with free cash, we knew what we could fund for pay-as-you-go capital, and then we also had a sense of what was remaining in terms of how the capital plan was going to play out. And so based on that, working with this committee and the departments, we had proposed to use $800,000 of ARPA funding for the fire engine replacement, which was on schedule for next year. Another $880,000 or $900,000 for the Proctor roof, assuming the MSBA grant comes through. And then $400,000 for the DPW tight tank, and another $400,000 for the sidewalk maintenance plan to deal with some of the backlog. Now, the Proctor roof was actually not going to be this year because we're waiting for MSBA, so that would be fiscal 2024. Bottom line is those requests have not been processed. The board has not authorized those expenditures yet. And so based on the final rule that we got from the U.S. Treasury on January 6th, the free cash and sort of playing out how the needs all fit in, those were the projects that were included in the first tranche of spending out of ARPA, or at least under the proposal for consideration by the board. In any event, there's been quite a bit of interest circulating around. There's been a tremendous amount of misinformation or lacking information out there. And so, and some folks have sort of gone and held some input sessions on their own, which is all fine. But at this point, my recommendation to the Board of Selectmen is to hold an ARPA-specific meeting dedicated to that, similar to like we do with the financial trend monitoring or like we've done with any large project like Lincoln Street or the fire station, so that everybody can hear the accurate information, what's being done, what's planned, and then take public comment. So I'm proposing that be done on April 14th. The exact location is still being finalized, but we're looking at April 14th at 6 p.m. Right now, tentatively, we're looking at the library, the high school library, because that would allow us to do a hybrid meeting, so we can take comment if folks aren't able to attend, which was a desire of the Board of Selectmen. So that's been placed on your schedule. It would be, again, a joint meeting, typical to what you would attend anytime we had a large issue or a large project, and we want everybody to get on the same page in terms of information. So that's been added. And then, of course, just another update for you. At Monday's meeting, the Board of Selectmen did vote to continue town meeting on the normally scheduled date, which is April 25th at 6 p.m. at the Algonquin Regional High School. They had tabled a discussion regarding whether or not to have their the town meeting inside or back out into the football field again, given the given the state of the pandemic. They chose to hold it inside, which I think can be done safely. Interestingly enough, there was a listserv question that went out today through the Managers Association of what's everybody doing for their town meetings. Every community around us, Shrewsbury, Grafton, Westboro, Boylston, Berlin, all have either already had town meetings in the fall or in the spring indoors or are planning to. But I got no less than 25, people hitting reply all, which usually drives me crazy. It's like my inbox. I went down the hall to get a drink. I came back and my inbox had 30 emails in it, but every one of them said we're holding our town meeting indoors. So that has been confirmed. Unless something crazy happens at the last minute, the board would have to vote to postpone it or to move it, the venue. So we're back to our back to the normal schedule that is laid out in our bylaw. So that is obviously a mandatory appearance for you folks at that meeting. So.
John, question?
Yes.
2 nights are reserved for that?
Yes. So typically, our town meetings, we've been pretty good about getting them done in one night. I think we've done one of the things that came out of the pandemic is we've streamlined the meeting agenda a little bit. Worked with a consent agenda, so we knock out some housekeeping matters in one motion. The other thing is, the reason why I need your report is the final warrant that we put together is much more expansive than what we used to do. What we used to do is just have the articles. Now what we try to do is have all the handouts as well as the motion, so the moderator doesn't have to read this 2-page motion while everybody kind of rolls their eyes or checks their email. But that way people can see exactly what they're voting on. And in the event that a motion is different than what's printed, then he'll read it. In other words, if there's an amendment that gets made. But otherwise, it'll be a good self-contained packet. So that we're trying to get done and squared away by April 11th. And we'll post the warrant with all of the information. So.
Very good.
So we got on schedule. It was a little bit hectic towards the end here, but it all worked out well. So hopefully you all can attend that meeting. Unfortunately, looking at the calendar, the following week is town meeting, and then you're into the election, and so if we're going to do it now, the 14th is the day to do it. So it's a Thursday.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other comments, questions? You have any other business for us, John?
No, I don't believe I have any other business for you, so I think it's pretty good. You guys are concluded, unless you have anything else. We can't get into too much of a discussion because you don't have anything else on your agenda. But one of the things I'll just mention is next cycle through, we'll get started a little earlier, and we should probably have a discussion we've been talking about, just relooking the priority criteria. I know it's been a while that we've been discussing that. There's nothing wrong with our criteria, but I think it can be maybe simplified a little bit. And the only other thing is normally at this time of the year, we do an analysis for you with regard to the debt service and whether or not it falls in line with our model. We are way, way below the model. We haven't run a new debt projection yet, but by virtue of the refinancing that we did about 3 or 4 months ago on the library and the senior center debt, saved $1 million there. The fact that we have not issued general obligation debt for equipment really since about fiscal 2012. The only debt that we're really carrying, and we paid off remember the Colburn Street acquisition for that property? That's paid off as well. So our debt service right now is at an all-time low. It's about 2.9%. So we are poised to bring in the next, large project, which I'm anticipating the fire station will go through a design phase and come back to town meeting next year. We're also going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks an RFQ to get the town hall feasibility study going again. Those are a couple projects that got shelved or backburnered on account of the pandemic. So the idea is to get those going. Those will be active through the summer and the fall, and we'll have some more information to share with you when you reconvene in the fall timeframe.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor of adjournment? Aye. Thanks for coming, guys.